I have an update on the Dutch impact of Brexit. So focusing on Dutch tax return and Dutch rules. Well, as I think is clear to all of us, the United Kingdom is becoming a third country, so not a member of the EU anymore as of the 1st of January 2021. And thus far, we had quite similar VAT laws for all of our countries. There were some differences, which makes it nice for us. But as you will see, the differences will become bigger and bigger as we go along for the next years. With a big thank you to Alexander Micheluti, who made the slides for EU and German perspective, which I can use for a Dutch perspective. I think this gives a very good overview of what is going to change for us in the Netherlands with regard to rules, invoices, and VAT returns. So I will go through them. If you have any questions, please use the chat function, and I'll try to get to that ASAP. So this slide is about the supply of goods. So we have a normal intra-community supply to the UK now. It's a 0% supply. This has to be mentioned on your invoice. And we mention it in our VAT return with question 3b. And we file the EC sales list, so the ICP-opgave. After Brexit, we have an export. And we have to mention it in question 3a. That's the export question in our VAT return. There is it's said that deliveries that start before Brexit, so no later than the 31st of December this year, the supply starts. It is still an intra-community delivery according to the withdrawal agreement. If the supply of the transport starts after that, it's an export. So please keep that in mind. Before Brexit, we needed a proof of shipment to be able to apply the 0% rate for an intra-community supply. And we needed a valid VAT number of the recipient of the company. After Brexit, that is actually a little bit easier if you look at it that way, because you don't have to have a valid VAT number anymore. You just have to have proof of shipment that the goods have left the Netherlands and the EU. So there's an adaptation of the internal processes necessary. If you transfer own goods between your warehouse here in the Netherlands and your warehouse in the UK, then it used to be a deemed intra-community supply. So a fictieve levering. It's going to be an export to yourself. So you need registration, I believe, in the UK and all that sorts of thing. There is temporary export, but Eva's going to tell you more about that. And also, if you transport goods for so assets for construction within the EU, you have simplification rules that you don't have to mention that on any documents. But those simplification rules will not apply anymore. So we have to look at what's being done. So if you send a lorry to the UK to be assisting building, then it used to be if it comes back within a few months, you don't have to register that, but that will change after Brexit. Mail order businesses, so distance selling or afstandsverkopen, so via Amazon or bol.com, more Dutch. It's taxable where the end of goods movement. We have the thresholds now. They're quite high, but there's going to be a legislation change as of the 1st of July within Europe 2021, that if you supply to private individuals within Europe for more than 10,000 euros, and it doesn't matter to which country, then you have to charge the local VAT. So that's a big change also coming after Brexit. After Brexit, those distance center rules no longer apply. So deliveries to private individuals are considered export deliveries, and you might have to register also in the UK, or your client has to pay the import VAT there. Consignment stock, for those of you who don't know that term, it's stock you have in a warehouse. That's not your warehouse, but the goods are still yours, and the supply is taking place once the deemed client is taking the goods out of the warehouse. So we have simplification rules now in the EU with regard to those stock. After Brexit, those will no longer apply, and registration would be necessary. So if you bring stock to the UK, it's in a warehouse there, and your client takes it out on demand, then you might have to register there. But the transitional regime is still unclear what happens with the goods that are there at the moment of Brexit. So please notice if you have those kind of stock. Chain transactions, so the ABC transactions. So A sells goods to B, and B sells goods to C, and the goods are being shipped from A to C. And there are simplification rules within the EU that makes it possible that B doesn't have to register in C. So it's you have a reverse charge rule there. And the UK also uses that, but after Brexit, no standardization rules anymore, and as said, individual assessment is required. We have to look at that also if you have those kind of schemes. Purchases from goods. From the UK, now it's an intra-community acquisition, and we have to declare that in the Dutch VAT return under question 4b. And if you're a taxable entity, you can also deduct the VAT due again. So you don't have a cash flow disadvantage there. After Brexit, it will be an import. And this is very important. If you now buy goods often from the UK, after Brexit, it's very important that you ask for a so-called Article 23 license here in the Netherlands. This helps you because you can shift the levy of VAT from the moment you import the goods, so with customs, to your regular VAT return. So that is quite the same as an intra-community acquisition, only you put it on question 4a in your tax return, and you can deduct the import VAT again with question 5b. So it's very important that you ask for such a license if at this moment you are buying a lot of goods from the UK, or else you have a cash flow disadvantage. Okay, the import of small shipments, no import VAT is payable at this moment if the value is less than 22 euros. But that will change after the 1st of July 2021, because the rules then will change quite extensively for these kinds of sales. Thank you. Okay, so some other declaration obligations. If you meet the thresholds now, for instance, with the UK, then you have to file Introstat reporting every month. If a lot of those sales or purchases come from the UK, it could be possible that you no longer have to file Introstat reporting, but of course after Brexit you have to do customs declarations. Before Brexit you have to file EC sales list, so ICP-opgave. After that, possibly not. So services, as John already mentioned with regard to services, actually not a lot is changing, except for where you put it on your VAT return. I'm having my colleague wants to go in. So now you have to have a valid VAT number to be able to apply the reverse charge rule if you supply a service to a UK company. So, for instance, if we give a tax advice to a UK company, we can apply the reverse charge rule. So we, as FSV, don't have to register in the UK. After Brexit, reverse charge rule still applies, according to John. So, but possible registration is still necessary. So we have to keep that. We have to look at that if there is something changing, if we have to start registering there. Other services to non-businesses, so private individuals or municipalities, now place of service at the registered office of the service provider. So that's taxable. If we provide a service, it's taxable here. And after Brexit, it depends on the structure of VAT law in the UK. So we don't know yet what they're going to do. So the incoming services. Now again, main rules. If a UK company supplies us with a service, the VAT is reverse charged to us. And you see it in the Dutch VAT return on a question 4B. That changes as of the 1st of January. Then we have to mention it in question 4A. So not very much is different. Just make sure that your administration, your bookkeeping systems are up to date for that. Then we have the input tax refund procedure. Now, if you have incurred UK input VAT, you can ask for a refund via the website of the Dutch tax authorities within 9 months after the applicable calendar year, and then you get the refund there. After Brexit, that website is no longer available for the refund procedure. You can still use it up until the 31st of March, and after that, apply for your Article 23 license as soon as possible. I think at this moment it takes about 3 weeks, but I think we'll see that when we come closer to the 31st, it will get busier and it will take longer. John also said, check your Incoterms you have with your UK suppliers or customers who has to pay for the import duties, because your purchase prices may get higher. Said also check your invoices, because after Brexit you no longer have to mention on your invoice that the UK VAT number if you supply services of goods to UK customers. Yes, and also your incoming invoices, you don't have to check they no longer have to mention your VAT number, because UK is not a EU member anymore.
You see all the areas affected by the Brexit, because customs is it sounds easy to say, okay, what is customs? But customs is more than that. It's the importation of goods, it's exportation of goods, it's export control regulation, it's origin and excise duty for mineral oil and alcohol and tobacco and all these things. And these all are the things where we at the moment do not have any issues with the UK, because we are all in the EU, and within the EU there's no customs, sometimes excise duty, but this is another issue. But there is no customs within the EU and no borders. And from the 1st of January on, it's more than likely that we have a hard Brexit without a free trade agreement. Alexander mentioned it before. And it could be that we have a, let's say, free trade agreement light. That means with only a few regulation regarding customs duty rates. But it could also be that it will come in place in the middle of next year. And therefore, we have to be prepared for the worst case, I think. We have to be prepared for a hard Brexit without a free trade agreement. And what does it mean for us? what is certain regarding the Brexit is, of course, that the shipments will become more slowly. This is a given fact because although we should not have to pay customs duty, we have to declare customs. That means we have to do a customs declaration, we have to do an import declaration, an export declaration, we have to go to customs offices, and therefore the shipments will become more slowly, even though maybe there is no customs duty, but we have to make declarations, and therefore we have to rethink that. And what is also certain is that the shipments become more expensive because you have to involve customs declarants and representatives on both sides. John told something from the UK perspective, and now I would like to go into some details from the EU perspective. If you go on the next slide, please. Then we think that there are two different groups of clients on your side. There might be some participants today that say, okay, I'm used to deal with no EU countries, or I'm used to deal with US and China and Russia, and therefore UK will just be another third country, and this is nothing new for me. But on the other hand, we have some companies, they are only dealing with EU countries, or even just in the Netherlands itself, and for them it would be a very new field to have customs issues in the company. And the upcoming changes on this side is that you have to meet all the requirements to do customs business on EU side and on UK side. And you hear it before from John. On the UK side, for example, you can only do customs declarations if you are located there and if you have an EORI number there. To get an EORI number is very, very easy. You just have to apply for, but you have to keep in mind that the customs authorities have a lot of work to do to be prepared for the Brexit, and therefore it could last a little, and therefore be prepared now and not in the middle of December, I think. And the same on the other side. If you do shipments between the UK and the Netherlands, then you have to have an EORI number on the Dutch side also, or on the EU side also, because an EORI number is not only valid for the Netherlands but for the whole EU. That means that you have to be prepared on this side. You have to have all the registrations needed, and then you have to ensure that you have someone in the company who is involved in all customs issues and who is knowing the customs regulations. If you do not have such a person in your company, then you have to look for a service provider who can do all these things for you. As Nathasja said before, for example, if you export something to UK, then at the moment, it's relatively easy. From 1st of January on, you have to prepare an export declaration for customs purposes. And if you are not used to do that for other countries, then you have to look for a service provider now, because as you can imagine, the service provider and the transportation agencies, they have a lot to do at the moment, and therefore you have to be very early to ask them for their service. If you go on to the next slide, Bas, then we also have a regulation for the time between December and January, and it is it is said that transports of goods beginning before the 1st of January 2021 are subject to the previous regulation of the EU Union law. That means if you send something end of December to UK, then it will be seen as an EU supply, and therefore nothing is necessary in this. But we all do not know how it will work in practice, and therefore, if it is possible, then our advice would be to do no shipments over the changing of the years. That means I know a lot of clients, and I know also from the big companies like BMW and all these big clients located in UK, they will make a break last week of December and first week of January to avoid shipments crossing the 2 years, because we do not know what happens in practice. On every page we have a to-do, and therefore you can see here, monitor the transports and procedures regarding the deadline, and try to avoid to cross this deadline. If you go to the next slide, then it is something that has been said before from John and Nathasja also. Please keep in mind that it's more than likely that we have to pay customs duty from the 1st of January on. Not for every good, but for a lot of goods, more than 40%, as John mentioned before. And it's always a political reason behind that. And we have some goods where we have very high customs duties and some goods where we do not have any customs duties on. For example, cars. If you see at the moment the Mini from BMW is produced in UK, and if you buy a Mini from UK, then there is no customs duties on it at the moment. But from 1st of January on, there's 10% on the Mini if you import it to the EU, and therefore we all have to keep in mind for the pricing and for the calculation of the prices that it could be that there are customs duties on our shipments. And I know a lot of clients that calculate with the worst case scenario to be on the safe side. This is, of course, a business decision how to do it in your company. But if it is possible, then my advice would also be to think about the worst case, and if it will become better, it's even better for us all. If you go into the next slide, we have a UK global tariff, and this is yes, it's not copy paste from the EU tariff. It's a little bit copy paste, but the UK decided to have a lot of things zero rated, because the UK said, okay, everything after beyond 3%, lower than 3% customs duty, is maybe not worth to talk about, and therefore they said, okay, we put it on zero. But in some areas, it's a copy-paste from the EU customs tariff. Another thing, if you go to the next slide, Bas, is to review your authorization. If you know customs things a little bit, then you know that there are customs authorizations. For example, a bonded warehouse. Bonded warehouse is a warehouse you can use to store untaxed and goods where you do not have to pay customs duties on it, as long as the goods are stayed within the customs warehouse. And if you have, or if you would like to have such authorizations, then you have to check, do I have to apply for an authorization in UK? Do I have to apply for an authorization in the Netherlands? Or do I have to extend my existing authorization? For example, if you are authorized exporter from the Netherlands, authorized exporter is a simplification for exports, then you have to include the UK into these authorization, because the UK will be a new third country from the 1st of January on. Therefore, you have to amend all your existing authorizations, and you have to think about new authorizations if it makes sense to have one. And for example, customs warehouse, my information is that you can apply for a customs warehouse in UK, for example, even now in November. Even the UK is not part of the EU, but you can apply for that immediately, I think. As if you go to this page, we have summarized some internet pages, very helpful, from the UK government, from the EU government, all the things you can check whether you are ready for Brexit. This is what the EU said: get ready for changes, and this is a list with all the things you have to keep in mind for the readiness for Brexit. A lot of things to do, a lot of things to think about. If you are dealing with customs at the moment, then I think it's not really a problem. It's just a little more workload for you, but it's just an additional third country. But if you are at the moment not dealing with third countries, then it would be a change in your processes, and therefore it's very wise to be prepared for that.